Welcome to the CSBR post-game show. My name is Colton Steiner. Thank you for tuning in. This was, oh my gosh, the headaches I got from this game were drastic and very, there were a lot of them. A lot of headaches, a lot of mistakes, but a lot of great plays. But you know what? At the end of the day, the Browns come out with the 27-25 win to move to 8-3 and have the best 11-game start since, what was that, 1994? My gosh, this team, man, this team, as much as we get ridiculed and as much as we make mistakes, at the end of the day, we are able to close out games. And we are at 500. Yes, 500 for the first time since 2007. Oh my gosh, I couldn't even remember. This is just incredulous how bad we've been in the past. And you gotta think this team has so many good aspects, but then again, there are a lot of things for this team to work on. And the biggest problem I have watching the Browns is I know we can get better in certain areas, but we just don't. And before I go into that, I'm very happy with where the Browns are at. And even though there's, like, we could be better, I'm being very grateful and being very thankful for how this team is. Like, we're 8-3. That's not a team. That's not anything to like be disappointed at. Like, these teams, like, not many teams, especially the Browns, can say that. In the last 10 years, we've never been over 500. So the fact of the matter that we finally are, I'm just incredibly grateful for and very happy with this state that the current Browns team is in. So, yeah. So looking at the game overall, the Cleveland Browns played pretty well through the air as Baker Mayfield went 19 of 29 for 258 yards and 2 touchdowns. Now, before I go on to talk about Baker Mayfield and before y'all say, hey, what about those overthrows? I'll get on that. Baker Mayfield clearly missed wide open receivers several times. That included a touchdown pass after that led to the first Browns field goal. And it was an overthrow of Rashard Higgins across the middle of the field where he was wide open, not a defender within 10 yards of him. But I will clearly call that out. He needs to make that throw. That there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And the crazy thing about Baker is, as much as we complained about that overthrow, which we have a full right to do, the fact of the matter, he made great throws that were even harder than that. So I was talking to a buddy of mine, and we were both saying how Baker can make the easy throws look hard, but make the hard throws look easy. And I think that's something that he definitely needs to work on, because as I was talking about my stream, Baker, for some reason, I think he gets too excited about when he sees a wide open receiver, like when he saw Rashard Higgins, and feels like he needs to get it there as fast as possible. That's definitely not the case. In that situation, he could just lob that right over the offensive line, throw it to him, touchdown Browns. And that would have made life a whole lot easier for the Cleveland Browns today. But I don't know. It's just something I don't know how you fix, but it's something he needs to work on in practice, because games are a lot different than what you do in practice, obviously. So how do you make that adjustment to make sure he gets that ball out there to the receiver and not make it a complicated throw? So that's something clearly number one thing we need to work on the offensive side is Baker Mayfield needs to make those wide open throws. But for the most part, 19 of 29, 258 yards and 2 touchdowns. I didn't really see him force anything bad. Like, he's forced the ball into tiny pockets, which is where I was saying he makes the hard throws look easy. That made it look like absolute dimes. And like, the good thing about Baker is he has that confidence to throw it in there. But I think he gets too caught up in making those short little passes where he needs to make better decisions there. So when looking at how this team can improve on the offensive side of the ball, starts with Baker Mayfield and his ability to make those easy passes. Because it didn't just happen on that missed touchdown pass. It happened on a couple other drives. One on the where we went for it on 4th down. On the play before, he throws it a little bit behind Kareem Hunt, who was wide open. Sure, it hit Kareem Hunt in the hands, but that's a hard catch when he's going the opposite way that the ball is and he's falling backwards. But at the end of the day, he has to make those easy passes. Don't make it complicated. And when it came down to it, the refs made very crucial and very bad calls, in my opinion. For example, Nick Chubb dives across the 1st down marker, and they mark him short. Then we challenge the spot of the ball, and they say we're short. So they say we're short. Then they bring out the 1st down marker just to make sure that we're short. Like, you should say that they're going to be short of the 1st down, but you shouldn't have to bring out the markers to make sure. If you say it's short, make sure it's short. But in the fact of the matter, then we went for it on 4th down, which I think we should have taken the field goal, but it really didn't matter at the end of the day. The ball was clearly touching the first down marker. So I don't understand how they marked it short, but it was touching the marker, which makes no sense to me. But then that wasn't even the worst. Later on in the drive, when the defense gets the ball back, and I'll go on to rant about the defense later on, the Browns get their first sack of the day, but then get called for unnecessary roughness. Now, as a defender, it's hard to go down when you're running around the end at high speed and you're trying to hit the quarterback, and you don't want to go too low because you can't go too low against the quarterback, or else that's roughing the passer or unnecessary roughness. And there's such a limitation to what you can do that they called an unnecessary roughness when we got a sack on 4th down, which I 100% did not agree with. I thought that was absolutely egregious that they let that happen, and they threw a flag on that, because before I would have been just egregious at the spot of the foul that the ball was touching the marker, and they said, oh, the Browns didn't get the 1st down. What? It was touching the marker? Okay, fine. Do what you want. But then you come around, Browns get a sack on 4th down that you say is unnecessary roughness. And for the love of everything that is holy, were they trying to screw over the Browns? It clearly looked like it. I mean, crucial plays here and there that they kept moving the Browns back. And then they call holding on the Browns on their last drive before Nick Chubb got a great 1st down. That just blows my mind that they continue to call these sketchy calls against the Browns and don't call anything except like false starts and illegal formation calls on Jacksonville, which kind of blows my mind. But you know what? It is what it is. When they clearly had a hold at the end of the 1st half, I'm not going to go on about that, but you know what? It is what it is. But yeah, the officiating at the end in the 4th quarter was egregious, beyond egregious. And I didn't agree with the Browns' first decision to challenge the catch by Harrison Bryant, who needs to not fumble. As I go on about him, he made several, and that earlier in the year, 3 games ago, I believe it was against the Oakland Raiders. Well, not the Oakland Raiders, it's the Las Vegas Raiders. Good Lord, that still messes me up. But he fumbled at a very crucial spot of the field in that game, and then comes back and fumbles at the first catch of the opening drive in the second half. And you can't do that. You can't make mistakes like that. And I obviously he knows that, but at some point you need to hold on to the football and cradle it like a baby. Like don't make it someone come in and hit it out like that, or come up and hit it up. Make sure you have it firmly grasped. So when I'm looking forward on how our offense needs to improve, clearly Baker Mayfield, but also we can't make little mistakes like that, like the fumbles on the first play of the second half. So those are plays where we can easily fix. Baker Mayfield, I don't know what we need to do about fixing those short passes and those wide open passes and missing those open receivers, but you know what? It needs to be addressed, and he needs to work on that. That's something we've seen week in and week out, and as great as he was today in certain areas, that's an area he has to improve 100%. So aside from the offense, defense, as per usual, was an absolute eyesore to watch, as Mike Glennon goes 20 of 35, 235 yards, and 2 touchdowns through the air. So too many times do we leave receivers open, and it happens with the secondary and happens with the cornerbacks, And I don't know what we have to do in practice, whether it's switch from the zone scheme that we're playing to a man-to-man. Because right now, where our communication is just so poorly when we're trying to play a zone. Like, we're too worried about covering a certain aspects of the field than actually covering receivers. So when I look at how we improve, sure, the Browns had a lot of starters inactive today. That included Denzel Ward, that included Sione Takitaki, including Myles Garrett and a couple other players, but you have to step up, man. You can't consistently make bad calls, like make bad make bad mistakes like this that continue to leave receivers open. And the fact of the matter that we only had 1 sack and was taken by an egregious unnecessary roughness penalty was absolutely stupid, and we need to get to the quarterback faster, but our secondary needs to improve. It starts with the defensive line, and we allowed their running back to go 22 carries for 128 yards. That is way too much. So I'm also saying our defensive line has to step up and make those tackles at the line of scrimmage. Once again, missed tackles were another thing we had to deal with today. And when I'm looking at this defense, they're young. But they can't. How hard is it to make a tackle when you wrap them up? There were too many times where we wrapped them up and they just broke out of our tackles. And they got that extra 3 or 4, maybe 5-yard gain after the original point of contact. So we can't allow that to happen, especially when we go against Derrick Henry next week when we play Tennessee, because this team is tough. And they're not a team you can just like say, oh, they're 7-3. We have the same record or a better record than them. The Jacksonville Jaguars came in today with a 1-9 record. So whenever I prepare for games, in my mindset, you can't look at their record. Sure, they may be a worse team, like the Jets are 0-10, but you never know. Maybe they could come out and fight better than your team. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. So when I look at this defense, we just have to be better all around. Starting with the defensive line, got to get to the quarterback, got to stop the running game early on. And then secondary, when the defensive line makes those adjustments, you have to make those adjustments and cover your guys as well. Have good communication. Too many times we see that miscommunication in the secondary, and a receiver just goes wide open. And it didn't just happen today. It's happened in the past. And when Denzel Ward goes down, someone has to step up. And I don't know who it has to be, but someone has to take on the leader role in the secondary and say, you know what, you have to cover that guy. I have to cover this guy, and then we can move on. But you know what? The Browns took the win, moved to 8-3 on the season. I'm happy with that. A lot to work on before we play the Titans. But you know what? Every week's different. Maybe we're going to be better through the air than through the ground next week. So you got to take each game as it is and continue to work on the play calls and continue to work on the best parts of your game. So I would love to see the Browns continue to pound the ball with Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb, clearly the MVP of today. Jarvis Landry also making some great catches for Baker Mayfield. And how many catches did Jarvis have? He had a total of 8 catches for 143 yards and a touchdown. So along with Austin Hooper getting a touchdown catch on the day. So you know what? I'm happy. And no matter what happens at the end of the day, if we can win the ball game, that's all that matters. Stats, mistakes, turnovers, they all can come and go. But at the end of the day, if you come out with a win, that's all that matters. So thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoy, and tune in next week for next week's game against the Tennessee Titans, as it's a crucial playoff game in December for the Browns. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.